This demo is going to quickly show how to do some keying. So I have this footage of me that I wanted to use to ride a horse. And I dropped it down, and my composition is 1920 by 1080. It's the opposite. I filmed it vertically. We can see it's 30 frames a second. And my composition settings, I have changed to 30 frames a second as well. So first thing I want to do is scale it down a bit so I can see all of myself. And then if I start keying, it's only going to key out the green. So what I want to do is I first want to just kind of like mask out the areas that I'm not going to use at all. So I'll right click, mask, new mask, and I can come up here to my pen tool, or I can hit G on the keyboard. G will also grab the pen tool. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to bring this close to the edge of the green, just in case. I don't want to bring it in too close because, for example, right here, so my hand is fine right here. So if I was deciding to start doing this here on this moment, I decided to bring the mask in up here, well, then my hand's going to get cut off. So we want to make sure that the widest action is being on screen, and we want to make sure that it's all included. So this is pretty good. That looks like it catches about everything. Unfortunately, I think my hand just goes off screen here, which that's not a big deal. But so here I am riding the horse. And the key will do pretty good with all these different shades of green. It is, of course, best if you can get a key with the most even amount of green as possible. So next step that I want to do, I'm going to come over here to effects and presets, and I'm going to type in keylight, and I'm dropping this down. Now, this is a step that I like to take that I find very helpful. This is not essential for everyone, and but if I hit H on the keyboard, that allows me to drag this around and recenter. If I hit V, it goes back to my selection tool that also moves back and forth between these two right here. So selection tool. I'm going to double click on my footage right here. And you can see now here in my viewport, I have my composition key, which is what I was just in, and then I have the footage. I double click and that will bring that up. Now, if I click and drag up here, so if I click and drag this, you can see it's kind of like I'm rearranging the panels. This is what happens when you try and rearrange a part of the screen in After Effects. So I'm going to click and drag footage and put it over here and double click. There we go. That's what I want. So I'll just X this one out. Sorry, I can't see. So X that out and put that there. And here's my key. So it looks exactly the same, right? But this, you'll see, this says composition, and this as MOV. This is my actual footage. And I wanted to do that for a particular reason. I'm going to come over here in my key light, and I can select a shade of green. And I think I'll just maybe like select down here. And you can see it changed in both viewports. But now I can select this view. If your tab is not wide enough, you might need to widen that. And I can select view, I can change to none. So I can still see my green here. So if I wanted to come in here and select a different color green and kind of see how it starts to read, I could do that and it would be helpful. You can see how it's changing. Now, here in our view, we have several things that we can look at. I was taught that you should never look at final result. I'm not 100% sure why, but if you look at intermediate result, you can see what's kind of, it looks a bit different. And where we're really going to spend our time is combined matte. It's going to change it to this sort of black and white version, which maybe it's reminiscent of Lumimats, right? Yeah. So this is essentially what we're creating is essentially a Lumimat that we're going to use, and you can see how, again, if I'm selecting different values, the colors are changing. The black and white is changing, and so where my white is, remember where my white is, that's where I'm preserving my value, and where the black is, that is essentially what is being erased. So I'm just going to keep selecting around, and honestly, I don't, with such an uneven green screen, there's not a ton of great strategy. But now when we come over here, we're going to come into both screen balance and screen matte. Now, I also was told sometimes it's good to have this at a very low value at around 5 or 95. Not, I don't have a great of information. I don't have a ton of information on the screen balance. 50% also works. So this is kind of just testing out some material to see what is good for you. So screen matte, this is where we're going to exist the most. If I do clip black and clip white, so you can see as I clip black, as I raise that up, it's getting rid of a lot of the fuzz and static in the black area. And now if I clip white, I'm going to take that back down. And if I change my screen balance now, so it helps a little, it looks like. But I really want the white to be totally solid. Because the more solid, the less transparency there will be in the final results. So something that we could do, of course, with this matte that might work is, let's keep taking that down. I'm getting a little bit of static around here, or like fuzz and noise. So I'm gonna switch this back to intermediate result. And so we have a sort of a green outline on me. What we could do is we could, since I'm sitting and I never really like come down underneath here, I can move my, oh, I do, okay. I bring my hand down here. That's interesting. So let's bring this back up to 50 and just kind of mess around with stuff with it, just being normal. Let's see. I would just keep the screen balance at 50 because it looks like that helped actually. And we can have clip black. And you can see what happens if clip black surpasses the clip white, it inverts. So let's go back to our intermediate result. I can bring this down. And I think that actually looks a lot better. So keep screen balance at 50. So a couple more things we can do before I can close this out now. I don't need this open anymore. Oops, my bad. A couple more things we can do. We can add refine hard matte. Sorry, I meant to put that on there. And you can see just barely kind of what it's starting to do. You can see it around here, right around the hand, and kind of down by the pants. So it's turned off. Okay, it's best viewed up here. We can see it up there around the hand. So we're getting a little softer edge, and kind of gets rid of a little bit of the green. And then I'm also going to apply advanced spill suppressor, and this is what will help more with the green. So you can see how that really removed the green that was down by my pants and along the hand as well. So on, off, up by the hat. It's on, it's off. So that's great, right? When working with video, it's always nice to work at a quarter. And then if we need to check something to see the quality, just like select your frame and then move back to full, because it'll be hard to work at full. It just won't render enough. So now that we're here, I'm gonna pause. All right, I'm gonna import a armadillo, and I can just import it as footage because it's not a sequence of images or anything, and it doesn't really need to be edited in any way. So just importing it as footage, dropping it down underneath. And if I come into the transformations, I'm going to change the scale. If I want it to face the other way, I can unlock it and hit negative and unlock it again and bump that up. I can of course scale myself down a little. And here, so these two items will most likely be moving together, right? So I will parent my self to the armadillo. And so now when I move the armadillo, I'm also going to move. So here I am, position. Let's start me off over here. And then by the end of it, I can just also drag myself over here. And we can turn on transparency if we prefer to see it that way. The thing that I would probably start doing to match this, the first thing I would probably do is color match. I feel like I'm too orange and the armadillo is a bit more blue. And so I'd come in here and I could go to color balance. Color balance. And I don't really want to mess too much with the key light and all this anymore. So, and this is a piece of footage that is now, it's kind of ready with all that I want the key light for. So I'm actually going to pre-compose this before I add the color balance to this. I'm going to pre-compose this, and I want to say move all the attributes into the new composition. All of these will move with it. So I'll just say key. So this is the key footage. And I'll actually rename my main comp after this. So key footage. Okay, and that apparently messed up that. And that was because so my I forgot that I had already parented it. So now I'm just recentering it. But this brings up another interesting point. So my anchor point, this little target, that's the anchor point. So if I were to hit rotate, it's going to rotate from that point. What I need to do to fix this, I can grab this tool right here, pan behind, which is Y. I can grab the anchor point. Now, if I did want to add rotation to myself, I could, yeah, I rotate from where I'm supposed to rotate. So now I'll just hit V, the selection tool, and now I can move myself back to where I was. So this is where this is where I'll parent. And now I should move with, and now let's add that color balance. So I can take the red down a little. Honestly, I don't have an exact science for color balance. I kind of just experiment until I think it looks where I want it to. Um, So on, off, you can see that the colors have shifted some. It's a bit darker, a bit bluer. I was kind of removing some of the yellow and the red because I felt like it would look better to match sort of this gray back of the armadillo. And now this is a bonus, which shoot, is the mask on here? What's up with this? So I'm gonna go back into the key footage because I want to see what's wrong with this. I see. So parenting before was, it seems like it was a bit of a mistake. My hand was getting cut off. So I'm just going to move this back to the center, which means when we come back to our main piece, we're going to have to move this again and also change the anchor point. So the precomp and all that, that might have gotten a bit confusing, but it's a little bit of troubleshooting for you. So this is a tiny little bonus, which if you want to try, you can. So this is called an expression. I'm going to hit Option and then hit Option on the keyboard, click on the stopwatch, and it opens up this little text layer in my rotation. I'm going to change this to, I'm going to type in wiggle and then it's amplitude. I think it's, no, I think it's frequency and an amplitude. So frequency of times per second, I want it to wiggle and by how much. So I'm going to say 2 times per second, and I want it to wiggle by, let's just keep it small, 5 degrees. Okay, that's not enough to see. Let's just do it a lot so that we can see it. Let's do 3 and 30. Okay, so now you can see what's happening. It's doing some automation of changing the rotation. That's too much. Let's take it back to 10. There we go. So that is a more reasonable amount, right? And I could even maybe put that on the armadillo as well. Wiggle 3, 7. Now, with the background, just something to keep in mind. So remember, we can always add a shape layer. That's one fast way. So new shape layer, you have to have the timeline selected in order to add the shape layer. I'm going to drag this underneath. And then when I have the shape layer selected, I can double click on the rectangle and it will add a solid shape layer behind it. Or if I wanted to, I could take my pen tool and I could draw a shape. But with let's do the double click the so just something to keep in mind. I think the green is not really that visible. But if for some reason you're having a hard time removing the edges of the green, what I would say is like think about what your background is, and it might show up when you add a background, it might show up really quite a bit. Let's go back to the key footage and turn off these two. So pretending that like we just have a bad key and we're trying to work with it, and we go back to our main source. So we have that green edge. Here we have more of it. We have more of it here. Back to our main source. So, I mean, think about the scale at which you'll be showing the work and also like what your background is. So it's more evident here because it's a darker purple, but I don't know, if our background was a forest, then obviously it's not going to pick up quite as clearly. If our background is the desert, which is orange, then we probably will see it. But in this case, we are able to keep these two on, and in our main composition, we kind of see it. We don't see it. So I hope that makes sense. And we'll talk about more keying actually in class. So thanks.